Oh, hold on. Gotta get the lights. But no, not the lights. Oh, it's so dark today. It's gloomy. You can't tell. It just looks like whiteness to you. It just looks like the glory of the Lord. But today, it's actually really dark. So I'm going to put lights on and hopefully the ISO makes up for everything. How's everything going? You don't have to answer that because you're watching. But I'm doing okay today. And actually, I just figured since yesterday I talked about all that stupid depressing stuff, like not having friends and stuff, or losing friends, or all the other cool stuff that I keep losing since I came to Japan. I should talk about the stuff that I actually gained when I came to Japan. That actually might be a nice picker-upper. Something positive. Something to kind of, riff on the uplift. Or something. I don't know. I don't have good phrases. But anyway, yeah, so I lost friends, but I gained friends. Being here in lights, please. Being here in Japan has been such an interesting, roller coaster of gaining and losing friends. But I already talked about a lot of the losses, so let's talk about some of the gains, huh? The gains. It's not financial. It's not financial, but I make friends, and that's kind of nice. So, actually, it just happened to be today. Just for an example, I don't even have to I made a friend today. and it's actually the way I made this friend is through a friend that I made in another interesting way. So there's these guys who work at this ramen shop near my job, and they're just doing the ramen shop thing, with the towel on their head and everything, and doing all the cool stuff. They're so sad, and all that cool stuff. And so, we went because my coworker's like, oh, this is delicious ramen. It's just made of this cool, I forgot what it's called. It's basically it uses a fish base. It's a fish-based soup for ramen. It's not something you see all the time, but it's not rare either, but it's delicious. And so we went, I tried it, and it was pretty good. I went back another time on my own to try a different one of the other soup bases that they have, because they have a couple soup bases there. And it was super good. And I just kind of, was like, yeah, this guy's kind of interesting. He's a cool guy. And I went back another time, maybe a week later or something like that. I can't remember. And I was just like, I feel like I should do something with this. I feel like I need to reach out somehow. I feel like I need to reach. I know you probably get tired of hearing me saying the word love, but I need to show love to the world and to this person. It's like this one guy working alone at this place. What? Should I talk? Should I not? I don't know. So I just kind of default to talk because that's just me. I just default to being loud. And so I went and I kind of just said, hey, so how's it going? And we just kind of just started talking it up, and he was just like, hey, your Japanese is pretty nice. And that's usually the conversation direction it goes. How do I get here? Blah, blah, blah. How did I get to Japan, rather? And so I just kind of went, we just started riffing, and then I found out that he likes playing Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and that is my it's probably my favorite installment of Street Fighter. Other than Alpha 3, it's a close tie, to be honest. They're both great, but yeah, and I was just like, oh, dope. Because there's a little bit of, I guess you could say it's like a subculture. There's still people who play it out here. It's pretty dope. And so I'm gonna take that. Well, I've been here this whole time. I'm gonna go back here. Let's bring it down. I've been here. We're gonna bring it down to here. So, no, we're not. My energy's gonna stay the same. But anyway. So we talked about how we just talked about Street Fighter 3, started talking about the characters that we like to play, and how he was kind of like a savage back in the day, and how he goes, with his friends every, quarter or something like that. He gets together with his arcade buddies, and they go back and they play in the arcade and have a good time and romp us around, paint the town red or black. And then we just started talking about games, started talking about random stuff, and then his boss, I don't know if it's his boss, I think it's his boss, comes in, and it's only two people who run the shop, so his boss comes in, and he's like, hey, you gotta meet this guy, he talks Japanese, and he just got here, blah, 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 blah. And then he's just like, oh yeah, he does, his boss, he does, ramen bosses, we'll call him ramen guy, ramen boss, does music stuff. He's in a band and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, cool, I do music stuff too. That's so dope. And then we start hitting it off and just talk about music, start talking about all this stuff, and then just me and the two ramen guys. And there's nobody coming in because I eat at a weird time of day. I eat around 3 or 4 p.m. and that's the only meal I have in the day usually because I'm strange. And so I was just talking to him. Nobody was coming in the shop, and we're just riffing and then he's just like, hey man, you want to come to this other ramen shop? This other guy I know? And and it's so funny too. I gotta give you some background to it a little bit. Quick pause. This is important. It's not an ad. I'm not sponsored. Nobody's paying for this, but I'm not marketable. But basically, I was just the day before. I was literally praying, hey God, it'd be cool to have some friends my age, because everybody at my church is super young. They're all college age girls, so it's I can't really hang out. other than the church, events or worship practice or whatever. And so it's like, yeah, they're cool and everything, but I kind of want to just riff, with people who kind of are like-minded in some sense. I've had a lot of practice doing the opposite. And so then I meet this guy, and I, by the way, just looking at him, you can't tell. He's wearing like a bandana and a mask and another thing on his face. He's wearing glasses. You can't tell how old he is. You can just hear his voice. And I'm like, this guy's total Oji-san, which is just like an uncle, but like a high-voiced Oji-san with like a lot of energy. That's what I thought. And it turned out he's just slightly older than me. And then he's just like, hey, so let's go. I got this other friend who's running this other ramen shop, and he's doing it down and over there. And I was like, okay, let's go over there and we'll see what it's like. And he's like, yeah, but it opens at like 9 p.m. That's when it opens. And I'm like, what? Yeah, he does it. He works his normal ramen job, and then he opens up his own thing at the end. And so we went and we hang out, and we're just talking. This guy's ramen place is so good, by the way. I'm gonna probably go there tomorrow and actually film it because it's so good, and I'll do an actual proper vlog. And so this guy, we'll call him Midnight Ramen Boss. And so Midnight Ramen Guy, this is hard to keep track of the fake names, but Midnight Guy, he's running this thing, and it's just me, him, and the other morning ramen boss, and then ramen guy, and then me, and then midnight ramen guy, and we're just in there, we're just talking, we're having a good time, we're all just same vibes. The guy turns out he's a big nerd too. It's perfect. Just a bunch of nerds besides ramen boss. Ramen boss is actually kind of a cool guy, but the rest of us, we're all lame and together, and it's fun, and we're just talking about games, we're talking about board games and all this other stuff, and we all kind of like align. And then he turns out we start talking about the stuff I really like talking about, which is stuff that people normally don't, conspiracy theories and interesting stuff like that, Gnostic stuff. I just like talking about it. It's fun for me. And so he knows a lot of it. I'm like really surprised because most people in general don't know about it. So I'm surprised that some of this knowledge has come to Japan. And he's just like, yeah, I like all this stuff. And I've actually been wanting to talk, because I told him I was a Christian, all that stuff. He's like, I've been wanting to talk to a Christian. I've just been really wanting to talk and meet a Christian person. And I was like, phew. And it turns out this guy's also very close to my age too. So God's just kind of lining stuff up. He's good. God's good. God's very merciful. But yeah, it's really nice hanging out with these people. And so those are the three friends. And by the way, I took that guy, the Midnight Ramen Boss, I brought him and a coworker on a bike ride. I was terrible and dead at the end of it, but because they have like really nice bikes, and my coworker's like a real race cycling guy, and he actually talking to my coworker, I guess we shouldn't use names, but he's really, really into cycling, or he was back in college, and he used to just do like, dozens of kilometers or kilometers, whatever, a day, or however, whatever is difficult sounding to you, that is what he did. And he used to do actual races, like pretty competitive races. And so, running like 40 kilometers an hour, keeping that kind of pacing. And so I just said, hey, let's just do a bike ride. So I have some other bike friends, and we all got together on a Saturday, and we biked, and me and Midnight Ramen Guy stayed behind, because we're just like, we're just going to let you guys be beasts, and we're going to not do that. We're just going to stay in the back and chill, talk about nerdy stuff, and talk about how fast you guys are going. And so we did that, and it was fun. And so now I go back to the ramen shop, because I go once a week just to say hi, and he's such a good guy. I'm not saying the ramen shop, so I can say this, and I'm not saying his name, but he gives me like free rice. He just kind of like drops a little, like, hey man, yeah, sure, you got your rice. I'm like, I don't even really need it, but like he just wants to give me something. He's such a cool guy. He's so giving, and it's so rare to meet somebody who's just like so like just straight up will give just for the sake of giving. Just like, hey man, you're friends, and yeah, just have this rice. I'm like, it's great. And so anyway, so then I go back today, and every time I go, there's some new guy comes in who's just a vibe. And like today, it's another guy who plays Street Fighter 3. No, he doesn't play it, but he was talking about like Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba. Yeah, he watches that, and he was gonna go watch the movie that's out in theaters today. So he was talking about that. So we talked a little bit of anime, a little bit of manga. No, we didn't talk about manga at all. We talked about anime only. I'm just saying the words that go together. But we kind of riffed on that, and he just starts talking about some of the fighting games, and we start talking about all the differences in the namings of the games between America and the US, and we're having such a good time. And it's like, and he's like, yeah, dude, we should all go, we're gonna go hang out. You should come with us. And so 3 of us are gonna go hang out very soon and have like, you know, a game go to the game center. What is it? Arcade in English? It's arcade. In Japanese, it's game center. But yeah, we're gonna go to the arcade and play some Third Strike and King of Fighters, and then we're gonna go to Midnight Ramen. And Midnight Ramen is so good. I can't wait to show you guys. But yeah, dude. And so like that's just recently. But every time, I mean, like, those are some of the friends I've made out here, and I'll to be realistic and fair, I think it's closer for the American point of view. It's a little bit more accurate to say that they're acquaintances, you know. But he directly asked me, he's like, "Hey, man, yeah, we're friends, right? So this is the kind of stuff we do. Don't worry, I got you." And he kind of spotted me for a few things, and I was like, wow, even this person, because in Japan, making friends is very different. Becoming a friend to somebody is very different in Japan. You have to. It's not just fun. It's not just, hey, cool, you know, networking and whatever, blah, 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 cocktail parties and, you know, no, it's like, it's seen as a responsibility. And the reason is because, the reason is because you are a friend of this person. That means you have to help this person when they need to move. And of course, they'll help you, but it's like, if you're gonna do that, you need to keep as like the friends close, but not have too many and not make friends too easily. Be realistic. Everyone else can just be an acquaintance, but to be someone who actually you call upon, you know what I mean, for in a time of need or whatever, it's like to cross that line. And in America, of course, we have the same concept, but our threshold is a little bit lower. That threshold is a lot higher. The bar of entry. The bar of limbo versus pole vaulting again. Pole vaulting. The bar is higher, and so like this kind of stuff is like something that was really hard for me to get over, because it's been so long, and you don't even become friends with somebody and like a true friend to a Japanese person until you've hung out with them so many times and with so many, you know, conversations. And it could take months, it could take maybe a year or years, you know, for depending on the person. But yeah, it's just a different thing. And so, like, making friends is something I've done here, and it's actually been such a joy. I've also made American friends. I've, expat friends, I guess you could say, or people who have come from America or from the West and other countries too. People from Taiwan and Denmark and all this stuff. I've met a lot of people, and that's kind of like probably another story, because, you know, it probably deserves its own. And you'll probably see some footage. I'll probably hang out with them at some point again, and maybe I'll do a little vlog, but. Yeah, making friends is also something that is very possible here. It took a lot of effort to learn how to do it, and, you know, I took a lot of trust, because, again, just praying. I never really prayed about it too much. It was just like, God, this sucks. I'm alone, God. Just whining, right? Not praying, just whining. I'm not talking to my father, just whining at him, just crying on the floor. It's like, use your words. And when I did, he made good. Made good on that. And you know what? Like, it's not like I had no friends before that at all. It's not like I had no friends, but I had this very specific prayer. And he answered it. And by the way, I have friends who are somewhat close to my age, even in the Western world, but I was looking for Japanese friends who I could actually connect with, and he helped me do that. So that's something I'm super grateful for. But yeah, and before that, it was just me and Mr. Whiskers. It's the only friend I had in the world. He's always there for me. He's always there for me. And you know what? I honestly think that making friends is something that is really just an art. It's an art, but is it a science or an art? An art is something that is like, you have to practice and you have to get good at. And a science is something you don't technically have to be good at. You just have to understand. It's a science and an art. It's both. ¿Por qué no los dos?